Hello my friends and fellow traders. Today's lesson is covering the latest update to the Pine Script language that the TradingView development team have added. This new update is a great one. It's a simple one, but it does improve Pine Script quite dramatically in my opinion. So this new update now allows us to organize script inputs in sections and lines. So this is something I've personally wanted for a long time because I have a number of scripts with a huge amount of settings, and it has always been extremely difficult to organize those settings visually on the user interface so that the user of my script can quickly and easily navigate the settings and keep everything neat and organized. So this new update is just a simple user interface visual change to Pine Script, and I'm going to show you how we can use this new change in our scripts to better organize our settings interface. But before we do that, let's read the words. So it says here, our latest Pine update introduces 2 improvements to inputs. The new group parameter allows programmers to define a section header for a group of inputs, and the new inline parameter allows multiple inputs to be joined on one line. Using these new features, you can organize inputs more neatly, as we do here for our auto fib retracement indicator. So you can see that they've used the inline parameter to merge all of these Fibonacci settings into 2 columns, instead of having these laid out all the way down on a single column. They've also added the option to create section headers or titles. So you can see here that this section of settings applies to the date range header. So today's lesson is going to be a really quick and easy one. I'm going to jump into the Pine editor, load up one of my existing scripts, and we're just going to play around with these new parameters. And as always, I will leave a link in the video description to this article here. And I'll also leave a link to the Pine Script reference manuals entry for input, which describes how you can use these new settings in detail. But I'll quickly read this out to you. The inline parameter is a string parameter, and it combines all the input calls using the same string or argument into one line. The string used as an argument is not displayed. It is only used to identify inputs belonging to that same line. So if you apply the same inline parameter string to a bunch of inputs in your script, then they will all be merged onto the same line where possible. And the new group parameter is also a string parameter. This creates a header above all inputs using the same group argument string. The string is also used as the header text. So this parameter is displayed on your chart. Inline is not. It's just used to identify which inputs you want to merge onto one line. So let's jump into the Pine editor and play around with these new input parameters. So here I am with a strategy script that I wrote. It has a bunch of inputs here, as you can see. Not as many as some of my scripts do, but we're going to use this as an example. We're going to segment some of our sections. So this section up here is going to be our strategy settings, and this section down here is going to be my auto view settings. This is the settings I use to inform auto view, how to auto trade my strategies, and how to calculate my position size for each trade that auto view takes. I'm not going to go into detail about auto view in this lesson. This is purely for example purposes. If you want to learn how to use auto view to automate your forex trading, I'll leave a link to that in the video description, and up on the right side of your screen right now will pop up a little eye icon that will take you to that video lesson that I did a few months ago on how to set up auto view. But anyway, today's lesson is going to cover input parameters, so let's get into it. So here I have a bunch of inputs, bunch of user inputs, completely unorganized. We can now use the group parameter to specify which inputs we want to belong to each group that we define. So here I'm going to just call this strategy settings. And now if I save the script and we come up to the settings menu, you can see that we now have a header here that says strategy settings. But I've only applied it to one input parameter so far. If I were to apply this to multiple input parameters, they would all fall under this header. And that is one way we can separate our script settings using this new parameter. So let me copy this bit of code here and paste it over all of these input parameters. Now, all of these ones here are for auto view. All of these settings here are for the strategy script. So now I can paste this group parameter into these other input variables, and we can change this to say auto view settings. And now if I copy this bit of code and paste it over these few settings, and I save the script. Now when I come up to the settings menu, you'll notice that all of my strategy settings are grouped together under one header, and all of my auto view settings are grouped together under one header. So on your more complicated scripts that have many different types of settings, you might have a bunch of candlestick filters or candlestick patterns your script wants to detect, like for example, my ultimate pullback indicator. I need to go back and modify the source code to this script to include these new group parameters and inline parameters, because if I open up the settings to this script, you'll notice that I have dozens of settings here, and I have grouped them myself using checkboxes, blank checkboxes that do nothing. But I can now use this new group parameter to create a header for all of these different various script setting sections. So for example, here I have a section that determines what my candle patterns will be. So using the new group parameter, I can group all of these checkboxes under a nice, neat header that isn't as messy as using these blank checkboxes. So hopefully now you can see the power of this new update, but let's get back to our script and I'll show you how the inline parameter works. So the group parameter is extremely simple. By combining the same group parameter for all of my inputs, that groups them all together, and the group string is also what is displayed in my settings menu. The inline parameter is a little bit different. It is not drawn onto your settings menu, and it can be named anything. So I could just write a 1 here if I wanted to. I can copy this, paste it there. And now when I come to the settings menu after I save my script, these two inputs will be merged onto just one line. So let's save the script and I'll show you what I mean. There we go, come up here. Now these two inputs are on one line, and this inline string doesn't really matter what I call this. And that's really it. It's quite a simple update, but it's very powerful for organizing your script settings, and something that I've personally been waiting for many years now. 3 years I could have used this feature, and they've finally added it to Pine Script, and it is going to help a lot with making your scripts look more professional, more organized. Now the inline parameter will only merge as many inputs as it can fit into your settings screen. So if I were to add another inline here to the next input here and save the script, now if I come up to the settings menu, these will not all be merged onto one line, but instead they are just grouped together a little bit closer. However, one thing you can do is just put in a blank title for these settings, and that will group them all onto one line. So if I just backspace all of this and save the script, and we come up to the settings menu, now all of these boxes are on one line, but they don't have a title explaining what they do. But depending how you set up your script, maybe this would be obvious to your script user. You could use the header title to explain what these three boxes do. And it's just a way to better organize your script settings. One other thing I need to mention is that if you wanted to merge other boxes onto a single line, such as these two here, you would need to use a different inline string. So here I can write inline equals 2. Copy that code onto the next line, save the script, come up to the settings, and now these two boxes are on a single line and these three boxes are on their own line as well. So that's it for today's lesson. I hope you found that interesting. If you want to learn more about this new update, go and read the documentation and go and play around with it with your existing scripts. It may seem like a minor thing, but if you've been using Pine Script for any length of time, you will be just as excited as I am to have this new feature added. Anyway, that's it. I'll see you in the next lesson. Take care, guys. Best of luck with your trading, and I will speak to you soon.